Welcome back.
It's been so long. I've actually been dead, and my spirit can raise to watch ghost movies.
So in that regard, was this movie totally realistic?
Here's the thing, is I get that they wanted to remake it scary and everything. It's another one of those cases where you didn't have to call it a remake, because how many possession movies are there? How many ghost movies are there? If they
This is a total remake of Poltergeist.
No, it is, but what I'm saying is that it felt like Cliff's Notes when they were saying verbatim from the movie, and then the other stuff that was changed would have been fine. Like, do you know what I mean? It seemed like kind of rush Cliff Notes when they were doing the word for word, and then otherwise it could have been its own movie, if that makes sense.
I mean, maybe 20% of it. Maybe like the first 20 minutes of the movie. What did you think?
I expected to despise it, so I had an even lower bar, so I didn't hate it, I just didn't like it. It seemed like a very rushed Cliff's Notes version of the original. Like, if you are planning on seeing both, I don't even know what I would suggest.
We did rewatch
first.
the first one earlier.
I didn't have to. I remembered everything from it.
And I hadn't seen it in a while, so I wanted to go back and rewatch it again. It holds up. The original one does.
Oh my god, yeah, it does. And I was concerned with if they were going to do character development with the family. Like, I was afraid they were just going to rush it. But
no, they did.
Right, no,
Yeah.
that's what I was concerned going into it. They didn't do the whole Steven Spielberg ripping the dude's face off or anything.
Well, I mean, okay. I didn't like this movie. Sam Rockwell didn't dance in it.
There was a part where he could have, very easily. They were about to bang, and he's in his underwear, and she's on the bed.
So many times it
like,
could have
he could have
happened.
been like,
It could have happened so many times. They were at a dinner party at one point.
yeah. Or when they got the kids back, just like,
Yeah.
like outside happiness.
And it didn't happen. Not once.
So this is the second movie, I think, where he hasn't
I
danced.
can't remember what the other movie is. Fuck, he even
Assignment.
danced in The Sitter. Like, and not this one.
You've seen way more.
What the fuck?
He did in
What the
Matchstick
fuck?
Men, too, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
There's a point. Maybe
Man,
they
that's
renew it in his
disappointing about
contract.
this. I can't recommend this movie based solely on that.
I can only recommend it out of morbid curiosity. Watch the original, though, if you haven't seen the original.
Oh God, yeah. This movie is
This
movie is a classic example of. I sat there the entire time. I sat there, but in this movie though, this is one of those remakes though that this isn't like, oh, it's doing a bunch of stuff different, but you know, I like the original better because it's the original. This isn't that. This movie is. It's totally the original movie, but it's the original movie, but with no atmosphere, with no mood, and it's all jump scares. Like, that's it. That's it. You're constantly reminded throughout this whole movie that you should. Well, yeah, but also that you should just be watching the original movie. It's impossible not to think of the original movie while watching it because so much similar stuff is happening, but it's not being done a fraction as well, and it's being done so cheap. Well, so goddamn cheap.
That's what I meant, though, in that it didn't have to be a remake. You could take the premise. I can understand someone being like, I want to make a movie with, like, a house and a family, and there's so many, you know, abduction and exorcism and stuff movies that you could still make a movie about, you know, dead bodies and right. And the thing is, whenever they took those elements straight out of the original is when it took you out of the movie. There were a couple things that they changed that, like, I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a neat addition, like with the shadow running lights, and I understand and wow, you understood because there's parts where, because she's in between planes, that lights will fall and you see her shadow and she's like running from what's there. And I get why they wanted to remake it, because they were trying to make it into like scary, whereas the first one is more has this whimsical feel until you get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on. So the pacing was different, but with this they tried to do that pacing, but in a shitty way to where...
The original was fun in that, like, it was kind of cool in that when they first realized the house is haunted, they're kind of into it, or at least the mom is. The mom is like kind of like, wow, cool, this is interesting, the house is haunted, all right.
She was still
right on.
They didn't do the chairs, but they did the silverware. The silverware was done after more major stuff was done, though. It's kind of like you're supposed to start off with the
yeah, I
small,
mean,
and then...
that was there because it happened in the original,
Right.
but like, okay, a prime example of the difference between this and the difference between the original is, okay, take the chairs, for example. The scene in that, like...
They didn't even do it.
Well, they do, but it's not the chairs. It's in the original, they pan over and the chairs are there, and there's no
She
cheap
just gasped.
stinger
There's no-
or anything like that. It's just like, holy fucking shit,
Yeah.
that just fucking happened.
TV.
In this one, the son he's in the room and he turns around and what even was it?
It's
was
the
it like
comic books? Because
okay,
she
it was
bringing
comic
the comic
books.
books upstairs, and so
And-
the comic books are
yeah.
stacked like a card house and then explodey.
Oh yeah, and then it explodes in a stinger sound in 3D and just flies right at the camera. Okay, like, I mean, there's a couple of interesting things about it, but even still, at the end of the day, there was not, for me anyway, like, all right, the shadow thing, that was well shot and everything, and that was something that wasn't in the original. That's fine, but I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it creepy. There was
No, I was just
nothing
saying
in
new edition.
there's
wasn't
not
bad.
a single thing in this movie that is creepy, that's scary, that's spooky, even mildly so. There was nothing in this that made me
I was just
interested.
scared by the loud noises.
or-
That's the only reason I
Well,
jumped, because they're loud.
that's cheap. Like, it's just like, okay, like in the worst fucking movie, a jump scare can get you just because it's loud. It doesn't mean it's good. It just means
I was just explaining why I jumped, because it was like a physical
I know.
reaction. Okay.
But yeah, and that's what this movie is. It's taking everything from the original and just making cheap jump scares out of it. That's all. That is all this movie is.
When we were watching the first one, we were like, there would be a jump scare. They're gonna add
And
a jump
that's
scare if
true.
they add it.
That's true. That's exactly what they fucking do in this movie. And beyond it even being like, take the Poltergeist stuff out of it. Take the stuff that's just directly from the original, that is just forcing you to compare it to the original and forcing you to be like, okay, I should just be watching
And
the
they rush
original.
through it too. It's
Well,
not even
yeah,
the
but
same
also
magic.
beyond that, even the first 20 minutes of the movie that is mainly about the family moving in, and there's not really that much stuff in the first 20 minutes that's necessarily from the original, but at the same time, it's like every haunted house movie I've seen in the past, like, 20 years. You know, you could pick out stuff in this movie that'll instantly
There's
remind you of
something weird.
Amityville.
It's an old house.
Yeah, it'll remind you of Amityville or Insidious or anything. Or, hell, going back to something like Burnt Offerings or something like that. Hell, even like...
You're naming all of these things I
Jared-
haven't seen, but they'll get it.
Jared Harris in this movie, and this is... Concept-wise, I mean, this is interesting enough. Jared Harris he's basically...
The Tangia character.
Yeah, but he's the host of, like, he's basically if Gordon Ramsay hosted a paranormal investigator show.
Ghost hunters and cleaning. The tagline is, "This house is clean."
And he's one of the best parts of the movie. That plot point itself is, like, kind of straight out of Fright Night, but where they get somebody who's the host of a TV show to help them out with their situation that kind of is in sync with the TV show that they're doing.
But he wasn't a fraud, and that's
no,
like the
no,
good thing,
not
that
at
it wasn't
yeah.
just like, oh, this shit is real.
And that made me think, because that was like, all right, Jared Harris is having some fun here. Sam Rockwell is really good in this movie. He is. Sam Rockwell, like, for a while I was like, I could probably easily recommend this as a rental just because of Sam Rockwell and Jared Harris.
The only things that... Oop, wow, that happens a lot quicker than it used to. Didn't it?
No, every 10 minutes.
It's been like a year. Well, okay, that's how you can keep your time.
Well-
But Sam Rockwell was great, except for the times where he was saying lines verbatim from the original.
I thought he
because-
was better at that than, like, the kids were.
No, well, yeah, no, definitely better than the kids, but I just meant because, of course, the pacing, and it's not his fault, is the thing.
No.
It's the pacing was so better set in the original that you have him saying the same lines, but it's not as good as Craig T. Nelson because Craig T. Nelson was allowed the pacing. It's not that Sam Rockwell was bad in it, but it's just more so like you can't help but to compare
Well,
because
You know why I didn't have a problem with Rockwell in that regard in this movie?
it wasn't really a problem. It was just like a noticing.
Well, in this, Sam Rockwell is playing a radically different kind of character than Craig T. Nelson
Well, the
was.
parents were stoners in the first one, so they were chill.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, like,
And
he
he
was
lost
also
his
like a big
job.
sports guy too,
Yeah.
and stuff. Rockwell plays the character pretty quirky in this, and he does a really good job at that. Whereas the kids, no, my God, did I hate the son in this movie. Like, they give him way too much shit to do.
The son's, like, more mean than the parents.
Yes,
the
and that was a
character.
mistake, because one, he's not very good, and two, he is annoying. Like, it got to the point where I'm like, Jesus, I realize this house is haunted, but fucking grow a pair, man. Like, fuck, like, goddamn, that kid was annoying, and they give him so much to do, and that is ridiculous. Like, I was
It
yearning
doesn't-
for the part in
yeah.
the original where they just sent him away in a cab.
Go to grandma.
Yeah, just bye. So this fucking kid is saying all of these lines that honestly, like, Rockwell should have been saying.
Well, yeah, and it was, just like the kid
Oh,
noticed it first, but then it's like, you're not
Oh,
the
we need him
authority.
there so he can do the drone thing. And they do the thing with the drone where the drone is going through the closet and everything, which in concept is fine, but it's so goddamn
They
flickery.
Silent Hill it.
And-
How did it not give you a seizure? I was having
Because it
issues
wasn't,
watching
it was flickering, but it wasn't really like stroby, like really stroby.
The original
Like,
was really stormy.
oh yeah, I was fine with that. But like, so what was I saying? Oh,
I'm
when
sorry.
like the girl says like they're here, like it they have her say it in a different way, but it didn't. Maybe
Well,
this
first she says they're coming.
they're coming and then they're here. And
They're
maybe
coming.
this is like, I don't know if anyone would have a problem with this if they haven't seen the original, but like in the original it was like the
It was
line.
more whimsy.
Yeah, and in this it's just like they're here. Like that's it. Like
Yeah,
okay, I
it's supposed to
understand.
offer, like, they're here.
I understand they wanted to say it differently. Okay, but the reading wasn't very good. The reading was pretty flat.
Everything that they pulled out of the first one, dialogue-wise, though, that would be the thing to keep
Of course,
verbatim.
I'm not. Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. I'm just saying
No,
it
I'm
wasn't
saying
really
they
read
should
that well.
have. They should
What
have
about,
had
like,
her read it verbatim.
The "This house is clean" stuff was kind of funny because that's
'Cause
like
that
the
was his
tagline
tagline
of the
and she
show,
did it.
and like, okay, here's my one thing I want to say about Jared Harris real quick. When it was getting towards the end of the movie, because Jared Harris I thought was one of the more interesting characters in the movie, you know what would have been interesting is if this whole movie was from his character's point of view. Like, if he was the main character of this movie. Yeah, it's Poltergeist, but they're doing something different with it. They're making it from the point of view of this guy who has a television show about paranormal shit, and then he is hired to go to this house that is
They could have
is
done it
doing
in
stuff
flashback,
like...
too. Be like, tell me what happened, and then they could have...
Oh, yeah, but then it would have still been from the point of view of the family.
No. I meant, like, all of his point of view, and then when he gets to the house, that's when you meet the
Oh.
family, and then so tell me what's been going on instead of verbal, because you already saw it, that's when they can start showing the stuff.
Sure.
Is-
Yeah, I mean, that would at least would have been different.
They went
Like-
found footage with it, though. I was so happy when I was like, oh, well, at least it's not found footage, and the drone was their found footage way to kind
Oh.
of put that in there, but...
The kid gets a drone as a present just so that can happen later in the movie.
Well, they all got
Sure, why
presents.
not?
It wasn't just...
But-
How do you afford it? Okay, here's the thing. In the original, the dad is a realtor, and he sells houses, and it's all this development, and they've lived there for like years. The kids were born in the house and everything. In this one, they're having to move, and it's clear that even though it's a nice house, it's not as nice as their other one. The mother is a writer writing a book, so she is not actively working. Sam Rockwell has gotten laid off. So they bought a house, and neither of them are working, and both arguing about who should get a job. Where it's like, how did you even get... My realism goes into that. Whereas the things that I didn't like the movie, sorry, I'm searching for words here, I guess that bothered me the most was... I forget what they changed the name to, but the original, the meat guy that ends up leaving, that peels his face off. In this one, he's like a...
Boyd.
Yeah, he's a cynical dick, and they throw the thing in there where he was like, oh, I once videographed a match, or not a match car, it was a match car in the original, that moved, 8 feet, but it happened over so many hours, and it's naked, not to the naked eye. The whole thing of how they reveal the craziness going on in the house was done a million times better in the original, because the family is like broken. They've been dealing with this for weeks, and they're listening to these, paranormal experts explain what they've experienced, and it's just so minute, and like the family's just stressed to where it was just kind of rushed through. And then even after the guy sees stuff floating, the camera guy sees stuff floating, and a chair goes to the room, he's still asking the kid, being like, a fake poltergeist abduction would be kind of a good way to get your own reality. It's like, you just saw
this shit just happen, man. Come on.
And then when he does, like, the whole drill, basically he's trying to drill and install a heat sensor in the closet, and there's this area.
That was so stupid.
Yeah, well, the drill gets sucked in, and he's reaching in, and then they do the whole scare thing where the drill's coming through the wall. He comes downstairs, doesn't say what happened.
No. Even before, that was dumb, because he didn't fucking say what happened, but also what was fucking, it was a character doing something stupid for no reason, just so something weird could happen. Yeah, the fucking drill and cord gets sucked through this hole in the wall, so what's he do? Of course he fucking gets right up to it and looks in, puts his arm in, just so there can be like actually the 3D wasn't bad in the movie, like it does like kind of cheesy 3D stuff every now and then, like the drill going right through. The 3D wasn't bad,
the lights were cool.
What?
The lights. The lights would be taken from the... that was another thing, too. You had... This is going to sound really weird. No ghost development. Like, they're just, like, pissed off people in the way they came about with the whole, like, I don't think they moved the bodies. It was just
let me get to that.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, because you saw more trailers than I did.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This movie, there are a few different parts of this movie that were driving me nuts. This is one of those remakes where characters... It's almost like the characters have seen the original movie, because there are parts where they would not know what was happening here unless they've seen the original movie.
That's what I meant, like Cliff's Notes.
Like, okay, for instance, like how they know that they suddenly know that the closet is a portal that she got sucked into. In this movie, how do they fucking know that? In the original movie, yeah, it kind of led up to that because all the shit had been sucked in there.
Right.
All this shit is piled in there. Obviously, something sucked all this crap in there. In this,
that's not even how she got abducted. She just walks in there and is like, hands grab her, and it's scary from the moment.
Hands grab her and pull her back and whatnot. No one sees this happen to her. And there's nothing really in the closet to indicate that is even what happened. Other than,
just
like,
the stuffed animals there,
which could have been there anyway.
No, I know, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying the stuffed animals there, and then the only other indication was the boy would always see her talking through her closet, and then for some of the whimsy, even though they did more danger in between, it was like one of those things where they touch it and then the staticky hair thing, and that was about the only indication with that. And even how the whole abduction thing went, like the parents weren't home, but it was basically like
they were at a dinner party where Sam Rockwell should have been dancing.
Right? And they didn't even explain like what job. He's just like, oh, I got a suit, I start on Monday. Well, no, my thing was I was trying to look because he's at the mall buying the crap for the kids and the wife, and then he looks through his rearview mirror, and I'm looking at the sky thinking that like storm clouds or just something, and I'm like, what was he supposed to see? So I guess he got a job at the mall where he has to wear a suit and tie.
I don't know, but like when Jared Harris shows up, instantly, there is no lead up to this or anything. Jared Harris instantly is just like, well, I understand that this is built on like a former graveyard, but what I think happened is that they just moved the tombstones and not the bodies. He just pulls that out of his ass.
Well, and even before he even gets... Or what it is how they replace the Tangia situation is... I forget the character's name because they don't say it that much in the original, but the redheaded lady who was originally the paranormal psychiatrist before they called Tangia. Sorry, I know I'm skipping around. I do like that... he addressed something that I even said to you, where it's like, oh, Craig T. Nelson's all, this psychic stuff is bullshit. And it's like, my daughter got sucked through the closet, there's weird shit going on, but fuck no, there's no psychics. And so
Jared Harris.
Yeah, Jared Harris is basically like, oh, yeah, and this going on is normal, but I'm full of shit.
But I'm full of shit.
I
yeah,
like,
I mean, that was a good line, but like, yeah, like... How did they just suddenly know that that's what's going on? Like, oh, like we don't know this for sure, but probably the bodies weren't moved. I don't know. Like, this is way before like anything would even like.
This is not even halfway through the movie.
It's like, well, I get, and they don't really even. Oh, fuck.
It's just like, oh, a butternut.
I guess that's what does it. All right. I guess that's the explanation, because we've seen the original.
And I don't understand, like, I mean, I get it, it was all very fast-paced, but, you know, it went all Silent Hilly when they went through the fourth dimension or whatever, and then he's like, this house is clear, and he says it for the line, but I'm like, you do sense things, he's not a fraud or anything, so they kept that, but it's like, he never once was like, you know, go into the light, I'll lead you, blah, 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 and it's done really quick, where they're pulling out of the back, and, they're pulling out of the driveway, and they're like, oh, you helped, you know, it is clear, and...
Clean.
And I keep wanting to say Carol Ann. Maddie is like, no, it's not, Mommy, I didn't go there because, you know, blah, 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 and then immediately shit starts going down again, whereas in the original, you had a good 5, 8, 10 minutes before it was like, okay, everything's cool, we're moving, you know, he's gonna go to the office, pick stuff up, so it was more of a lull of, you know, oh, okay, things are good, whereas this was
In
like
the,
2 minutes.
Yeah, but in the
I understand.
I
for
understand
pacing.
in this, in how this movie was paced. I get that in this. I'm not saying that, like, that's good or anything. I just mean I understand that and how this movie was
I just
paced.
don't fathom how they would have thought that the characters were clear from how it went down, or not. Jeez, I can't speak today. I don't understand how they would have thought the house was clean from the events
because
that
they've
transpired.
seen the original. Because they've said the same way that they knew that it was because
Well,
the bodies hadn't been moved.
Then they should
even
have
though they
known
don't
it
know
wasn't
that.
clean after all. Maybe that's why they didn't leave, because the paranormal people were still there.
I'm sorry, the ending was so stupid. You know, okay, like they kind of want to do the silly joke at the end, like in the original
TV.
where he puts the TV out when they're in the
Spoilers.
hotel. In this one, they're going looking for new houses, and they go into the house, and the lady's like, "Oh, well, it's got a lot of closet space. There's the attic. There's some trees outside, and like, what do you think?" And she turns, and they've driven away. Okay, it's supposed to be a joke. I'm sorry, like, they're
rude.
I'm not saying because of rudeness. I just mean like,
It's rude.
I just mean like. They're looking for a house with 0 closets and no trees and no attics. Okay, they're gonna be looking for quite a fucking while.
I'm just saying, that's their realtor, so if they're still looking, they just kind of like, yeah, no.
But why
yeah.
don't like they had to go into the house before they knew it would have closets or a tree or an attic. I realize it's supposed to be a joke, but it's a stupid joke.
Did you notice that when they were driving away originally, like after they hightailed it out of there, the lights were following them, the electrical lights?
In this one, no, I didn't.
The whole thing that's kind of reason for disbelief given is because they're under all of these power lines, and then they're told, oh, well, the guy who owned this house was very techie, so everything's wired to this. So when the wiring starts going screwy, they think it's just stuff with the house. So when they're driving away, you know, it kind of hints that, I guess, leaving it open for a sequel, either that or they just added more screwiness, but as they're driving, they pan out and you see all of the chaos and everything from the house, and there's lights going along, like electrically, so I notice things. But that is one thing that I was very happy about. I was so concerned how they would do the ending with the house, because in the original, of course, practical effects, they built a model of the house with, like, fucking toothpicks, sucked it through a vacuum, and then slowed it up, and I was like, they're just gonna do that CG. This one, they don't do the whole crumple up like you see in all the spoofs. It does, like, kind of a Ghostbusters thing where, like, the light and explode through the roof. The house is deteriorating while they're still, you know, in it, so
It looked fine.
yeah, like, I was very happy with that because, of course, worst case scenario with the whole copy, I'm like, the whole thing's just gonna be CG, and it's gonna be a house that goes...
I mean, the tree was CG, but I've seen worse. And it was pretty... The tree part was pretty
trees
brief
part too.
anyway. And the clown was just...
Oh my god, the clown is the star of the movie, as the poster says, so I don't know what they're gonna do for the It remake, because clearly the clown is the star of Poltergeist.
Yeah, so the It poster would be a picture of Carol Ann.
They could do the picture of the house, I don't... As a graphic designer,
they want to get the creepy clown on the poster, but in this, like, the clown, like, it's actually more than one clown, because the kid is sleeping in the attic. This kid who was, like, would be scared if like a needle dropped
Dude,
off the
I
table.
would be scared sleeping in that attic though because of the
But here's
light
what I
and the
think: this
trees,
kid
like,
obviously
banging on the
has
thing.
issues. This kid obviously has issues with being scared of everything, which is annoying in the movie. And so where do they make him sleep? Oh, let's put him upstairs in the attic under the creepy tree. And like he finds this
Skylight so you can see the creepy
yeah, and like there's like a squirrel that gets loose in it, and they still keep the squirrel in the cage in the attic.
No, they didn't keep it there. He said he was laying more squirrel traps because he did a catch and release thing.
Oh, okay. I just saw the squirrel pop up in the.
They didn't have a
cage.
dog, so you had to have some kind
Sure.
of animal going batshit crazy.
But like he finds this thing in the wall that releases like a bunch of clowns and shit that they just keep up there with the kid who's scared of everything.
You have to
Yeah.
sleep in the attic.
Oh God.
They did eat cheese pizza. This is the Home Alone remake.
Made me miss the kid from Troll 2. Jesus. If I want to see a
Bill
kid
Bob.
piss on something, I'm gonna do that.
Wait,
What's that?
what's Poltergeist spelled, or how does that pronounce backwards? That should have been the street they lived on, but it would be
Yeah.
Ghost, because it would be...
Well, I mean,
Together.
just fucking watch the
Scoop.
original. Hell, just stay home and watch Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead.
Poltergeist is way better than
this.
Poltergeist, though.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. It depends on what you're in the mood for. Poltergeist is awesome.
Well, if you're eating, like, KFC, then yeah,
then
watch Poltergeist.
Yeah. If you're eating somebody's face, watch Poltergeist.
If you're eating steak, you watch Poltergeist.
Yeah,
That's
if
when the
you're eating
goes-
steak with some maggots on it and shit, yeah, if I can watch Poltergeist.
I watch Lost Boys when I eat Chinese.
Oh, of
Not all the
course.
time, but I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking.
I
will
eat
watch
shit when
Lost
I
Boys.
watch Sallow.
Dude, you eat shit like every weekend, though.
And I watch Sallow every weekend. Except for the weekends where I watch Pink Flamingos.
They did a spoof on RuPaul's Drag Race where they were doing
They-
John Waters films
One of
as
them
a
eat dog
musical.
shit.
There was a song about the eating the poo or not
Was
eating
there?
the poo. Yeah, and he guest starred.
John Waters did.
He
Right
was guest
on.
judge. It was fun. And we have digressed.
Did you recommend
RuPaul.
this in any way, shape, or form?
I would recommend it if you watch the original and you're one of those people that has morbid curiosity on how bad a remake is, but don't pay a ticket price for it. Wait till it comes out and rent it. Only if you're curious. I see what they did. Okay, even the original Poltergeist. I was watching Twilight Zone episodes, and it is loosely based off of a Twilight Zone episode that had to do with more the fourth dimension than a poltergeist. But, like, even word for word with the whole, Carol Ann, baby, where are you? Mommy, I can't see you. That is taken right out of a Twilight Zone episode. And so I get that you can make something based on something and do an homage. Even in this, when he was talking about how there is no up, there is no down, that was from that episode. So I get it, and I try to have an open mind, but I knew it was gonna be bad because it's just. But you can make an homage to something, as Poltergeist did to this episode, and make it different. And that's what I meant when I said that this didn't have to be a remake. They very well could have, you know what I mean? Like, and,
They would have had to have rewritten like 80% of this movie.
well, yeah, but don't steal fucking dialogue. Like, you can do an
yeah.
homage to it,
And
but...
that's, I mean, yeah, like, this movie is entirely unnecessary. Yeah,
If you're gonna remake something, change enough of it so that it is a remake. They did a couple things where they actually changed it that weren't bad, like with the light or whatever, and if you want to show the Land of Silent Hill ghosty thing, then okay, if that's how you're going with it. But when you take so much from the original that you regurgitate, it takes you out of it because it just reminds you that, oh god, they're trying to do this.
here's where this is going to happen. Here's where this is going to
Yeah,
happen.
and it's not done as well. And
No.
anything that's supposed to be suspenseful, most of the time, scary! Most of the time is not, because you know at least some of the pacing. Like, you knew she wasn't gonna get sucked through the fucking closet in the first 5 minutes.
Well, like, I get that it's being remade. It's a franchise. There's 3 movies. There's a TV series. Of course, there's going to be another movie. Well, like, why wouldn't there be? But this is not a good one. This is not. It's not a good remake. It's not.
I could make a really tasteless joke right now.
It is just a constant reminder of a much better movie. Like, it is a classic example of that kind of remake. I didn't sit there. I didn't. Yeah. Well. Yeah. But like, I didn't sit there pissed off by any means. I just simply wasn't enjoying myself. I was kind of bored mostly. It was just lame. I was like, here's where this is gonna happen. Here's where that's gonna happen. They
did a baseball rolling on the floor instead.
And there's this scene from the original, but with a stupid jump scare. All right. If it's on Netflix or something, I mean, Sam Rockwell's fun in it, Jared Harris is fun in it. Sure, there's that. I mean, or just watch it out of curiosity alone, but don't pay to see it in the theater. It's not worth that. It's not worth any kind of ticket price. It's not worth anything above just for curiosity's sake. Let's pull it up on Netflix. That's it.
That's why I was like pleasantly surprised, because I expected to be livid about it and just pissed off, and
this movie was
the kind that you get pissed off. It's just like, all right, really. This is what they're doing, and yeah, definitely watch the original. Don't pay to see this. And I mean, it's interesting because of, you know, Rockwell and what's his face that I keep forgetting his name.
Jared Harris.
Yeah, Jared Harris. I did like that they did the rapport between him and the main paranormal psychologist, to where they were ex-spouses, and then they kind of like got back together for their TV show thing that was after the credits, and that was kind of a cute rapport that added to it, because I was not okay with them not having a Tangi. I was like, get Peter Dinklage or just something, like throw him in there. And because I thought when you told me Jared Harris was in it, I thought he was going to be the main paranormal psychologist, like he kind of was in
no, I was glad they went the direction that they did, even though it is a lot like Fright Night. I was glad they at least went in some kind of different direction with that. I just wish, I think it would have been more interesting if like, say, him and the woman were the leads. Did you want to talk about trailers at all?
I never get to talk about trailers.
We got like 50 of them in front of this movie. I was actually shocked we didn't get the trailer for Insidious 3, but we got...
I wish we got the trailer for Gem, because you didn't see the trailer for Gem,
no.
And I really wanted to talk about that, but I won't
no, I haven't seen the trailer for that, but...
We didn't get Jurassic Park trailer. What's up with that?
Well, I've gotten that trailer in front of like every other movie I've gone to go see.
I haven't done this
This is the
forever.
first trailer in a long time that I haven't gotten the trailer for Southpaw, so that was nice, because I'm tired of that trailer.
I called Jurassic Park the Raptor Whisperer. Or Jurassic Parks and Rec.
We got Before I Wake, the Tom Jane one.
We got something that looked like with the Owen Wilson, where...
Oh, No Escape.
Yeah.
That might be fun. I mean, I'm instantly kind of drawn to stuff like that where somebody acts against type. Like in this case, Owen Wilson in an action movie. Granted, I mean, there was also behind enemy lines.
Give me my family back. I'll save my family.
It's him and Pierce Brosnan. I mean, that might be all right.
It kind of looks like The Purge in Mongolia, wherever they were. Meets a zombie movie without zombies. It's like The War and The Purge.
Oh, you got to see the Terminator Genesis trailer, the fucking spoiler-ass heavy one. I've now seen the entire movie because I've seen the fucking trailer. Thanks.
I will say, casting Khaleesi... Oh, we saw a different trailer, too, that had Littlefinger in it from Game of Thrones.
Well, did you want to finish your thought on Terminator first?
I'm sorry, that's how I'm so fragmented, I apologize. This is why I don't do this often. My mind jumped, and I was like, Khaleesi was playing Sarah Connor. Wait, we saw one with Littlefinger in it. Yeah, I get why, because I don't know what else is in the movie other than the plot of it is to save John Connor. Because if you didn't say that, what else is there in the movie? Because they make it kind of the point that is the whole plot of the movie.
They didn't put that in the teaser trailer, and I still got what the movie was about.
This is the only thing I've seen, so
you don't have to give away the entire movie to say what might be in a Terminator movie.
Is it supposed to be like we just ignore that Arnold is old and this
they
is
explain
happening at the same, or is it like two Arnolds at once?
They explain that, like,
Like Stewie with time travel, where he like sees himself from Family Guy.
They explain it that like it is kind of flesh that's on him, so the skin that's on him does age.
Yeah, but isn't this taking place to where, like, consecutively when she first meets Kyle Reese and everything? So
I think
younger.
I don't know. It looks like they're doing a lot of like paradox stuff in it. But how he's older, they explain it that like his skin does age or something like that. Which I mean, you can say.
But I thought they showed.
At
like,
least they
stock
explain
footage.
that, I guess. But I mean, they have the younger Arnold there, and I guess they both fight or some shit. I
That's
don't
what
know.
I mean.
That
like,
movie
it's like
might be
he
really
came
bad.
at the same time. So I don't know. I would be interested in
I
seeing
hope it's
it.
not bad, but it's one of those trailers that is all made up of lines and images from the other movies, except for the twist that they just flat out
Would you
put
be
in the trailer. And it's on the poster too. What the fuck?
I hope it's not gonna do like the Karate Kid thing where it like completely ruins the other movies, where it's like it adds things to it to where when you watch the old movie you're like, you
Oh,
dick,
you
I don't
mean
like you
Karate
anymore.
Kid 2?
Well, I meant with the Karate Kid franchise, because yeah, we were talking about that the other day where I was like, when you go back to watch the first movie, when a sequel completely ruins a character, like with the girlfriend where she
with
like
Elizabeth
fucking
Shue.
yeah, like this. As soon as the second one starts, she fucking left me for a football. He didn't cuss, but you know, left him for a football player at prom. So when you go back and watch the first one, and it's the whole love story, and he's trying to get her, you're just like, don't do it, Daniel. Don't. She's a cunt. Don't do it.
I mean, I don't know, but like it. I know what you're saying about Karate Kid, though.
That's
but
what I
like,
mean. Since it takes place during the movies, it looks like it's like they're swimming, like the Family Guy thing.
It looks like they
goes through
jump
the
back.
Old episodes.
It looks like they jump through time quite a bit in this because obviously it looks like there's some part where that's like in 1984, but also like that thing on the bridge looks like it's in the present. I don't think I have a feeling that's going to be
Technically,
bad.
Sarah would be aging a lot too. Sarah Connor, if they're like going through different realities. Maybe Linda Hamilton will be like older Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
She could have played that role still. She still looks good.
I just have a bad feeling about that movie, but I hope it's good, but I just don't know.
Star Wars did it.
What else? Like the one with Littlefinger you're talking about was the sequel to the Maze Runner. The
Maze
Scorch
Runner.
Trials.
Yes.
I didn't like the Maze Runner, but in this it looks at least like a big problem I had with the Maze Runner, among a few other things, was by the time the movie started, they had already navigated the maze. So, whatever.
Game over.
Like, okay, whatever. But in this, they're venturing out into kind of this unknown wasteland and shit, so there's that. I don't know. Like, I didn't like the first one, but because I've seen the first one, that means I'll be at the second one when it comes out, and it's a YA movie, so Sarah will probably be, although Brian was with me at the first one, so maybe Brian and I will go to the second one. Sarah must have been busy that weekend or something, because usually she's at the YA movies.
It kind of reminded me of, what was it? Was it Running Man, where it was like they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere and then got captured?
No, it's not Running Man.
What the fuck was that? No, it wasn't Total Recall. God, I was watching a movie like frequently, and it's about like getting the collars off of them and stuff.
Well, that was Running Man, but that's a game show.
I know when they get into it, but before he got captured, it was like they were taking out the drones, and it was like this deserty type area, and it was just kind of chaotic. Is what I meant when they first like went into the whole "you won't survive."
In the Running Man, it starts out like it's in the city, and he's a helicopter pilot, and he's falsely convicted of a crime,
right.
and then he and a few other prisoners escape from this kind of like
That's what I
junkyard
meant,
prison.
that scene type thing. That's all I meant was just the scene.
that was like
That's what I was just saying. Just the scene, not the movie. I think we have like zombie Running Man, where like instead of the people that are trying to kill him, it's like zombies, so you throw them in a pit with zombies, and it's like the Hunger Games meets Running Man meets zombies.
Rated PG-13.
Zombies!
The Guillermo del Toro movie, we got the trailer for that. That looks
Crimson
good.
Peak.
Yeah, Crimson Peak. That looks
Usually
good.
can't remember, but there was a lot of red in it.
Yeah.
And it's like Twin Peaks.
What the fuck else did we get? Did we even get anything else that was new?
Everything's new to me. 'Cause
That's
I haven't
true.
seen it.
Yeah, that's true.
I have the new little like red dot infomercials about myself.
We've been getting those for like
evil.
a year. We've been
haven't
having
done
those.
this for a
Those
year.
are yeah.
Those are
We
new
those
to
are they're old for us, man.
It's like the cool spot ate like
so you
the
didn't-
green Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy.
You hadn't seen the
Jawbreaker and
one
had
where the
baby.
mosquito just kills that one, just sucks all the blood out of him and just flat out murders him.
Well, it was
one
a
of the
ghost
dot
movie,
ads.
so
Yeah, they do that. They have like the horror
He
ones
said
in front
doo-doo.
of. They have the horror ones in front of like the horror movies, and there's a superhero one that's in front of the superhero.
there was another
movies.
one too that was basically like her phone was a bear trying to kill her, but it wasn't the one where it was like
It was
outside.
a werewolf. Like yeah,
Oh, it was a
it's where he's
werewolf.
a werewolf.
And I'm just like, they're like, be careful of your phone. Don't put it on, you know. And I'm just like, my phone's not a dick. It's not gonna try and kill
Do
me.
my
I'll keep
nerves
it on
a
if I want it.
favor.
And they had like the red rum twins like passing.
Yeah.
Rad, rad.
Had Ant-Man. We got the trailer for that.
That is the first time I've seen the trailer for that.
I mean, we've gotten that quite a few times.
I try not to watch trailers online anymore because they spoil everything, and I don't get sent to these, so I just.
And of course, you got like the Terminator Genesis.
I know
trailer
it
in
was like,
front
oh,
of
you
this.
get to watch the trailer. It spoils, and I'm like,
Yeah,
la, la, la,
see the
fuck it.
spoiler-heavy one. Sweet.
I'm surprised that I did not. I avoided that online. Getting it spoiled because everybody was talking about it.
I'm sure we got more, but I can't fucking remember which ones we got. But yeah, we take.
Those were
quite a
the
few
main
trailers
ones.
in
There
front
were
of
like a
this.
few that weren't full-on trailers that were kind of like the in-between talk things. Like I think there was something about Glee or some crap. But
the
it
new
wasn't a
trailer
movie.
for Pixels.
Pixels, yes.
Yeah, we got the new trailer. That was the first time I've seen this trailer for it.
See, that's the only trailer that I saw for it.
No, you saw the first trailer for it, which is
The
different
one with
than this.
Pac-Man where he's like, he's my son.
Well, that's in both trailers.
Oh.
This trailer had a bunch of stuff that was not in the other trailer. That movie could go either way.
I want to see it. I know everybody hates Adam Sandler, but it's not fully a Happy Madison production, is
It's
it?
not. It's a Chris
Yeah.
Columbus movie.
And it's like, they can act. It's just kind and it's got Peter Dinklage in it. Come
Yeah.
on, like...
There were I laughed a few times in the trailer for it, which is more than I can say about most Adam Sandler trailers. So at least has that.
I think even if it falls flat, it'll still be a fun ride for what it is, and everybody... I'm just saying what I
I don't
think.
know.
And everybody is saying, like, oh, it's Futurama, the movie, this and that, and it's like, do you
Yeah,
know
they-
how much shit's been taken from what? It's still not...
Sure.
It's not actual video game characters that are invading. Like, I still think it'll be a fun ride, and people were like...
Here's hoping.
Well, I'm just saying that the qualms... I'm trying to be more open-minded with these things, and I wasn't with Poltergeist, but...
Look, I mean,
wasn't, but
I try to be.
I've had a year being
optimistic,
free
too.
of being a cynical asshole, so I'm trying to keep my own...
I try to be optimistic too.
Are you
that could
optimistic
go,
Prime?
I could go either way on that. There were a few times in the trailer I laughed, but if that movie's not very good, it's not going to surprise me.
I just meant the blow-ups that I've seen online about it, because that was
Well,
not...
that's the internet.
I'm just sharing my thoughts. So, but the big thing that also people were bitching about was like, oh, the cars are named after the ghost, har har har. And I'm like, well, that's the point. They're going after him. Like, I was like, what is wrong with that?
There's a lot.
But
There's
that's
a lot
what
of
people are-
cynicism online.
I'm just saying that's what...
you
Really?
can find cynicism about anything.
Is there any on YouTube? Because I heard there's these videos on YouTube and you can comment on them. And
You
I bet everybody's just super nice.
You can find.
Dude, there's like a
someone
graveyard of
complaining
fucking
about
3D
that.
glasses in the car.
Yeah.
My car's
But
the
I
trash
mean,
can of
you
the
know,
Remake
I
screenings.
trash stuff all the time. Too,
Yeah,
in
literally.
the car, in the midnight screenings. You know, like, hell, we just did a video where we're ranting about the remake of
not
Poltergeist.
ranting.
We
I
both
was-
didn't like it.
But I didn't hate it. It was just one of those, like, I see what you're trying to do, but you didn't do it well. And it's... I think it could have been a good movie if they didn't try and take everything from the original.
What,
like,
Pixels?
Yes. The original Pixels, which I guess Futurama.
It was Futurama.
Fucking Simpsons did it, people. They do that crap to me all the time. Like when I came up with my little thing and they're like, that actually blah blah blah, and I'm like, it doesn't mean that everything I think of it is gonna be exactly the same. Actually.
Let's see. Whoa, well, I probably should have said this at the beginning. We're just at one movie tonight because they, for some reason, they didn't give a pre-screening to Tomorrowland.
Is that the only reason I'm here? Because nobody else?
No, not at all. Not at all.
They let me out
you
of
just
my-
mentioned something about going to see this, and you're never in these. So.
I have been such... Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to say other stuff, but I love Poltergeist since I was a kid. Like, the theme to it was one of the first things I figured out on piano, because I play by ear and figure stuff out. And, you know, when I was even telling you stuff about it, because I was just out of curiosity, I was like, well, I wonder if they're going to do this and keep it whimsy in this. And I'm telling you stuff, you're like, I haven't seen it forever. I was like, well, I haven't either, but I saw it enough times when I was younger that I knew, so I actually had my copy still, and we, you know, rewatched it, and yeah, it doesn't hold up. This does not hold up to the original. I'm sorry. Yes, no.
Yeah.
This does not hold up to the original.
The original holds up, yeah.
I have to watch my verbiage.
So when are you going to come back?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah. You're still in other stuff, too. We got the Lloyd animated series coming up.
Yeah.
If we ever do the finale for the reviewers. There's that.
We have to. Because what will happen? My character needs closure. And it's the one character that isn't a cynical bitch. She's just crazy.
We'll do that. We'll get that
We have to
finale
know about
shot.
if Caroline ever gets over the Hungry Hungry Hippos
Right,
incident.
yeah.
It's a pivotal plot.
I'm not still over the Hungry Hungry Hippos incident from one of the unreleased episodes of the game show.
What is this
At
game
least
show
now,
you speak
right?
of?
Yeah.
Like the Japanese
well, at least now,
dong. You
like,
guys need a
so what
dong.
did somebody put a? Oh,
That's
yeah.
what the game show needs. Right, to channel awesome.
At least now, like, because there were a couple people like, what's with people with their first names start with the letter J not being on the site anymore? Like, well, Jillian's still here, she's just not in the midnight screenings.
Okay, like, I just want to say, I won't go into it, but I'm sure, like, if people ask, and I don't know if you care, if you don't, whatever, there's, like, health and life issues. Like, I mean, I'm okay and everything, but it's not because we're fighting or anything. It's just, dude, I've had people ask, and I'm just like, no, we're cool. Like, I wouldn't be in the other shit if we weren't.
Right.
And
we're having serious fights, but you're only not in the midnight screenings. Everything else,
I've been
yeah,
pregnant
totally.
and selling my babies on the
What?
black market.
Damn.
It's not yours. Good God. No, I have not been. Somebody's gonna take that out of context. They're not my babies I'm selling on the black market. They're just babies I find, and it's very time consuming. And
Sounds like it.
I'm actually, you should do a fade out effect. Like, I'm actually a ghost, and I can only come back once a year to watch midnight screenings, except for Jurassic Park. They're letting me out twice. Whoa.
There you go. All right, so a couple of, I think me and Dave are gonna go see Tomorrowland tomorrow night.
I might need the car, so that might be in Dave and Sarah's car.
Oh, that's fine.
Notice!
Well, yeah. So, all right, we'll be back tomorrow for Tomorrowland.
And I probably won't be back till maybe, Jurassic Park's like
It's like
next
June.
month.
June, I think.
Yeah, next month.
See you in June.
Bye!